I have developed 3 custom suspension setups for the KTM 250 to make you instantly faster. These setups are specifically tuned for different skill levels: amateur, semi-pro, and professional. I will walk you through each setting in detail, helping you adjust to your riding style. The track we chose is the OIR Redux, with its naturally rough sections and paired with technical corners. Let's dive into our first suspension, the Nugs Amateur setup. Now, with each setup, we have a specific goal. For the amateur setup, we are looking to increase how quickly the bike can turn. We also want to increase the front end stiffness, as it's a little soft even for a beginner. To make it extremely clear on which setup you should be on, I've broken each setup based off lap times you should be running at this track. If you are a 2 minute and 10 second a lap or slower, I believe this will be the perfect setup for you. Now that we've established what we're looking for, let's dive into the specific details. Here we go on the Nug Amateur setup. So the big thing is we want to drop that to 100. Now, especially as a beginner, you need to get into these ruts, and that's the most important thing. It's a very small difference, and you probably won't notice it going at this pace, but you might as well just start getting used to it. Okay, so now we clicked onto suspension, and this is where the bread and butter is. So as I talked about, I felt the front was a little soft, even for an amateur rider, so we definitely want to go up a spring rate. Now, the important thing is we want to raise the rebound and compression as we are stiffer. We do want it to respond a little bit slower, as it's going to get a longer time before it gets to the bottom of the stroke. As for the oil, all that does is make it stiffer on the bottom. So I always run as low as I can or a little bit higher. Even as an amateur, when you overjump stuff, because a lot of times you're either going to case something, overjump, you want it to soak up and not pogo stick. As for the rear, we're going to leave it the same spring rate, rebound, compression, all that stuff. But here's the biggest thing. We're going to be turning that to 3.5 on the high speed. It's going to make the bike turn super easy. So whenever you get into a rut, and if you do make a mistake, you're able to actually just pivot out. If you need to turn a little quicker because you're going to go over the berm, you're able to do that. So that's why in this beginner setup, I think it's so important to get it to be as nimble as you can. So if there is a mistake, you're able to recover. Okay, so now we're on the drivetrain. This is a gearing that I really like. With this gearing, you could really take advantage of 4th gear, especially as a more advanced rider, but you can also use 3rd gear if you are a little bit slower. I just like the ratios here, and I would love for you to try it out. Lastly, we got the geometry. 23.8 is something that I really like. The bike turns really good, but it's just before you start knifing the front or pushing the front end. Honestly, this could be up to however you like yours. It's not that big of a deal. It's more of a rider preference. The big thing is that swing arm length. You want to extend it, especially in the motocross, and especially when you are at the amateur level, because when you extend it, you get a lot more stability through the bumps. And especially with us adjusting the rear to make it super nimble, this one kind of counteracts it. It makes it more stable. So you get kind of the best of both worlds. Now we're going to the Nug Semi-Pro setup. For this goal, we're looking to increase the rear and front end suspension as we're getting quicker. It's also important now that we have more commitment, we lower how nimble the bike is so we can gain stability everywhere else. If you're running a 2 minute flat or higher on the track, this setup is what you're going to want to choose. Let's break down the setup and what it's all about. Okay, now we're on the Nug Semi-Pro. So this one is going to be for the majority of people. So first, we're going to start at general. Again, we're going to go with that 100 rear tire. I just think it is perfect. It works great with this bike. Now for this one, you see on the brakes, we go 16 in the front, which is the lowest you can do. And then we raise the rear. This is when you're braking hard. A lot of the settings really likes to use the front end for the braking more, which causes you to go over the bars, especially when you're braking hard in a rough section. This just kind of counteracts it. Okay, so now we're gonna go into the suspension. And as you can see, we only went one up in the front. So we kept the compression at 12 and 11. So it's gonna be a little bit lower because you are gonna be going quicker. That's gonna cause the suspension to go down faster and you're gonna need it to come up. As for the preload, we're at 4 millimeters. That's just a good ride height for the front end. We try to stay around 60 millimeters. It's a great balance on that. Oil, we're at 90. We want that plush on the bottom end. Now for the rear suspension, we wanna raise it up because now we're going quicker quicker, we need the rear end to also be just as stiff as the front, so there's a good balance with that. So we go with the 15 on the low speed compression. You want to raise it a little higher because you do have it stiffer. Now we're going to drop it to a 3. I sometimes do a 3 to 2 3/4. You're going to notice that the rear end doesn't turn as good as the other one, but that's okay because you want that rear end to stay when you're in that rut and be able to launch off jumps. You just want more stability, and that's what you're going to get with the high speed. Rebound as well, we lowered that because you're going quicker, and then preload we're at 3mm. For the drivetrain, we did something a little different. So you can see we have a fully customized gear setup and gear ratio. Now the big thing about this one is that you're able to take tight corners in third. So by being in third and fourth, especially when you get into the rough sections, the bike is just going to handle much better because you're not over revving the bike. It's in the nice sweet spot, so give it a shot. I really like this gear ratio. Lastly, we're going to be on the geometry or others. We're going to go 22mm fork offset. For me, I feel like this helps really turn the bike. Now, the fork height on this one, we raised it a lot. And the reason why we raised it high is because you're going to be really using that suspension and you need as much length as you can. Swing arm length, we extended out to 8. That's going to bring you a lot of stability, especially when you're going into those super fast speeds. Lastly, we did the rod length. Now the rod length being raised up is actually going to increase your stability in the fast and high speed sections, but it's going to hurt a little bit in the corners. Now, with being more skilled, you should be able to overcome that and be able to get it in the corners, but you're just going to notice more stability everywhere else. In the corners, it's going to feel a little heavy, but that's okay because you're a better rider and you should be able to get through all of it. We are finally at the Nugs Full Pro setup, the same setup I personally use. Now, the goal for this setup is one word: stability. Because we have the speed, we need to increase the front and the rear end to handle the hard impacts. We also want to lower the nimbleness as we can handle committing harder into the corners. If you are under the 2-minute lap time, I believe this setup will work for you. Now let's explore what this is all about. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is the Pro setup, what you've been waiting for. Here's everything I run personally. Okay, so we're gonna go on the general. Everything is gonna be pretty similar as the other ones. You're going 100 in the rear. For me, I do 18mm in the front, a little lower in the rear. That does not matter. I'm just gonna tell you straight up, it's whatever you like. Okay, so here is the suspension itself. So you're gonna see, compared to stock, we went up 2 spring rates on this one. We need it stiffer. We're going quicker. We need it to hold up, especially on a heavy impact. So you have to go 2 up. Now for the compression and rebound, we have it on the medium sides. We do 9 and 11 right there. I feel like that's a great balance. Preload, we're at 5mm. This is because we went so stiff in the front end, it's gonna raise the front end. Oil, we're always at 90mm. We need that plushness on the bottom. So now let's get into the rear end. Now I'm gonna tell you right now, the other suspensions you're gonna hop on, you may feel more comfortable right off the bat, but I'm not riding this just because, oh, I feel so comfortable. I'm riding this for the main purpose is stability when the track gets rough and in the longer motos. Because when you're doing 30-minute motos, when you're at minute 25, you can run the same lap times as you were in the beginning. And this is what the suspension is made for. So in the rear, you're going up 3 spring rates. This thing's gonna be stiff. Now I go a 9-11. I kind of copied the front suspension to try to get a good balance with that. For me, it worked out really good. But the big difference on this is the high speed compression at 2 1/4 turns. I'm telling you, you're gonna hop on this bike and you're gonna be like, this thing can't turn. I get it. But the whole point is that you want that stability, especially at the pro level. You have a lot more commitment. So you're able to lean the bike and be more comfortable at that. And the drivetrain, I actually go with the amateur gearing. I like it a little bit better because it's so heavy in 4th gear. Okay, so now here's the geometry. So for the fork offset, I went to 25mm. We wanna go with the stability in the front end. Now for the fork height, I had to drop it to 8mm so it can turn a little better. In 5 5mm in the swing arm length because I have everything against me with it not turning. Now with the rod length, again, I went with stability. So for this one, it's gonna hurt in the corners, but I have all the other stuff that will help it turn. Extremely comfortable in the rough sections. Now that I've broken down the Nug Pro setup, let me show you what a lap does at full speed. Thank you guys for watching the video, and let me know in the comments which setup is your favorite. Until next time, stay saucy, my nugs.